What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel. Now before we get started with this week's episode of WWE's Biggest Issue, the road to 200 subs has now come to a close and we are now 209 subs away from hitting 500 subs. And if you guys are new to the channel, and I know that a lot of you guys are, because practically 100% of you guys are watching the content, but you guys are not even subscribed. So if you guys are watching the content, you like the content and you want more of the content, but you guys have not subscribed as of yet, then make sure you guys do indeed subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button on this video, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all my social media. All my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And I want you guys to post in the comments below answering the question of the day, which is this. What are your guys' thoughts on Naomi being the one who attacked Jade Cargill back in November? Let me know down in the comments below. And for this week's episode of WWE's Biggest Issue, since we are on the topic of Naomi, this week's episode we're going to be talking about who should step up to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez in their third reign as women's tag team champions. Now, this is actually the first time ever that a duo has been champions 3 times. Obviously, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day have now entered their third reign historically as tag team champions, and you've got so many incredible tag teams on the roster. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, you've got, let's see here. Who do we got? We've got Damage Control. We've got who else? I know that Maxine Dupree's been trying to get some advice, trying to get coaching from Natalia, so maybe that could be a team right there. We also have as well Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, known as Pure Fusion Collective. Obviously now Sonya Deville no longer with WWE, which is unfortunate. And that's just on Raw. On SmackDown, you've got B-Fab and Michin. You've got Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. I know that, with Jade now, officially back in WWE, even though Bianca is putting her focus back in singles competition, there is no denying that Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair could end up reuniting to regain their tag team titles, which is very, very possible. There's also Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. There's Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. There's Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Who else is there? I mean, there's even on NXT. Even on NXT, you've got Carly Bright and Kendall Gray, who we saw on the premiere episode of WWE Evolve this past Wednesday. We've got Fatal Influence. We've got Chemical X is their faction name, I guess is what they're calling themselves. Obviously, I'm referring to none other than Gigi Dolan, Shotzi, and of course Tana Paxley. You've got the NXT Women's Champion and the Women's North American Champion. Obviously, I believe tomorrow at Roadblock, champion versus champion, title for title. That is going to be historic as hell. Who else? You've got Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. You've got quite the plethora of tag teams across all three brands, even also Sol Ruka and Zarya as a tag team, which is amazing. There's a lot of people that there's a lot of tag teams in the division that we could potentially see, challenge Liv and Raquel's third reign as tag team champions. But the problem is that we're now drawing closer and closer and closer to WrestleMania, and right now we are literally less than a month away. Excuse me. We are less than a month away from one of the biggest, from the second biggest WrestleMania of all time. Compared, obviously second to last year's WrestleMania, but this is huge, right? Because right now on the card, the 4 main world titles are going to be defended. You've got Gunther versus Jey Uso. You've got Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. You've got Io Sky versus Bianca Belair. And then, of course, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. All 4 of these matches are WrestleMania dream matches that we never would have expected to finally take place. Especially Tiffany and Charlotte. They're both athletically gifted. They both have gymnastic backgrounds. They both have quite the wrestling pedigree, to say the very least. So with that being said, what about the women's tag team titles? Are we going to see those titles get defended at WrestleMania? And honestly, I feel like that could very may well be the case. I feel like that Ava, Nick Aldis, and Adam Pearce should band together and host a series of qualifying matches to where we have ourselves a fatal 4-way for the women's tag team titles. Obviously, one team from Raw, one from SmackDown, one from NXT, potentially going after Liv and Raquel. But with so many teams that are on the roster, we also can't forget. Think about this. We also can't forget that there is also the roster from TNA. So you got quite a few tag teams that are in TNA, including the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Danny Luna, and I believe, I know I said her name a few, Jody Threat. Jody Threat is her name, known as Spitfire. You've got Heather and Ash by Elegance. You've got also, if I can try and, I think that's it. There really aren't a whole lot of like tag teams like in TNA, and so I don't really get why the Knockouts tag titles are still around. But I feel like at this point now, I feel like if there was a couple tag teams that, besides the tag team champions that could band together, maybe we might see them show up at WrestleMania. But I don't know. I think when it comes down to it, at this point now, the entire women's division is more focused on one thing, and that's trying to get to WrestleMania. And even also in NXT, they're trying to get to Stand and Deliver. They're trying to figure out who's going to challenge for who's going to challenge for the NXT Women's title, who's going to challenge for the NXT Women's North American title, and also the question of whether or not the women's tag team titles will even be defended at Stand and Deliver, which I don't think is going to happen. So it just comes down to, is there even a tag team that can stand up to Liv and Raquel heading into WrestleMania? And honestly, I don't think so. I would say that there's Damage Control, but the problem is that Io Sky is now the women's world champion. Dakota Kai is has her eyes set on the women's Intercontinental title, and both of the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, they've been out with an injury for quite some time. In fact, Asuka's been out with an injury for almost a year. Ever since Backlash last year in Lyon, France, we hadn't seen her. We had not seen Asuka since then, when they dropped the titles to Jade and Bianca, which nobody would have ever imagined those two as tag team champions, but here we are, right? They two-time champions, absolutely incredible. So it's gonna be and also with Kairi, Shayna and Zoe, along with Sonya Deville when she was still active on the roster, they attacked Kairi Sane, putting her on the shelf for several months, which no one knows when she'll be back. No one knows, but at this point, there really aren't a whole lot of tag teams that will want to go to WrestleMania and challenge for those titles. Like I could potentially see Bayley. I think Bayley, if she were to find a tag team partner, I could totally see her going after Liv and Raquel and the tag team titles. Mostly because I feel like excuse me. I feel like if there was one person who could potentially take those tag titles off of Liv and Raquel going into WrestleMania, it would probably have to be Bayley. But when she was the leader of Damage Control, she's made more enemies in WWE and even in NXT more than any other person in WWE in the women's division, and that right there is saying a lot. That's saying a lot. So it just comes down to who would be Bayley's tag team partner, and I think the only other option, crazy as it sounds, may just have to be Becky Lynch. Obviously, Becky Lynch still has a receipt, has a debt to collect from Liv Morgan after what happened last year. But I don't know. I mean, I would say Roxanne Perez, but Roxanne, we all know that she, her and Bayley got lots of beef going on. So if it came down to two tag teams that I would want to see go after the tag team titles going into WrestleMania, first one would have to be Shayna and Zoe. I think mostly just because they're long overdue for a title run. I know that Zoe is long overdue for a championship run on the main roster in WWE, and I think the tag team titles would definitely be a good first start for Zoe Stark. Another team, I would probably have to say Chelsea Green's crew, Alba Fire and Piper Niven. I think mostly just because of the fact that, imagine what would happen if Piper and Alba were to get their hands on those tag team titles. They could both of them plus Chelsea Green could really do a lot of damage to to the entire SmackDown women's division and help re-elevate the women's division to heights never imagined. And I know that a lot of people might think that it's weird for me to say that, considering that Chelsea's a heel. But think about this: it doesn't really matter if someone is a babyface or a heel. Anybody who holds a title has had has elevated to heights never thought possible. Look at Roman Reigns. When he was WWE champion, he was champion for 1,316 days, which is incredible. He pushed everybody to their limit before knocking them down. He did that with Braun Strowman. He did that with Bray Wyatt, God rest his soul. He did that with guys like Montez Ford, Xavier Woods, John Cena, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso. He even did that with Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles, LA Knight, Randy Orton, Edge, Daniel Bryan, Brock Lesnar. Just the names that he had been in the ring with when he was champion is incredible. Even Matt Riddle, when he was active in WWE, he pushed Riddle to the absolute limit, and now now a lot of these guys are either still with WWE or they're no longer with WWE and they're working for another promotion. Or if you're Bray Wyatt, I'm sure you guys can already take a guess. Not even gonna say anything. God rest his soul. Shout outs to the Eater of Worlds. So I think honestly, if it came down to those two, 100% it would have to be Shayna and Zoe. I think just because of the fact that they're long overdue for a championship run. I think now would be the perfect time. As crazy as it sounds, in my opinion, now would be the perfect time for WWE to pull the trigger and give Shayna and Zoe the tag team titles against Liv and Raquel going into or potentially at WrestleMania, which, who knows? Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? We will just have to wait and see. But with that being said, that will do it for this week's episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue in the future, then make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.